Hello and welcome to Getting Naked with Happiness with me, Stephen Liu. In this snippet, we hear from Roslina Chai, an organizational consulting expert on creating inclusive work environments in Singapore. In the main episode, Roslina and I talk about what marginalization at work looks like and some of the steps that we can take to make inclusive changes in our workplaces. These snippets are standalone episodes where we tackle more specific questions on organizational improvements, but I will highly recommend that if you are a manager or a leader in a company and you are interested in making holistic changes in your teams, check out the other episodes in this series. So without further ado, let's jump right in. What is one crucial ingredient to create a workspace without marginalization? Yep.
Number one is a proverbial sentiment that you cannot force a horse to drink if it doesn't want to drink, is willingness. And by willingness, I don't mean the grandiose willingness to be inclusive. I'm actually suggesting something even more modest than that. Willingness to try and to commit to trying something for a sustained period of time and to withhold judgment during this agreed period of time. So very concretely, for example, I see this so much in the change and transformation work that we've done with companies. So often we try to persuade people why you should change, why this matters, what's the ROI, yada yada. And we're speaking at them, not to them or with them, at a very factual level, right? We're trying to persuade them to change their mind. When in fact, we have to make it easy for them to change their hearts. So let me say that one more time because the distinction is important. Most change managers attempt to persuade people to change their minds. The better ones persuade people to change their hearts. I'm not suggesting either one. All I'm suggesting is a small baby step of making it easy for people to change their hearts, which is to say, hey, Stephen, what about we try this 3 months? Too long? Okay, 2 months. And whatever comes out at the end of 2 months is fine. But at least we gave it a go. But we agree on 2 months, we really stick to 2 months, right? So something along the lines. So basically, I'm not asking you, Stephen, to change your mind. I'm asking you to try something and hold the possibility of changing your mind. But even if you don't, it's fine. We tried. So that's step one, what I mean by willingness. Step two is to explicitly be able to articulate the change process. So let's say we agree 2 months, you change your mind or not, never mind. But I think in this 2 months, it's very important that you, Stephen, share some of your insights, share your reflection, even if it's to disagree or something. But that process of externalizing your thinking process and even unconsciously listening to yourself externalize and verbalize that has a very profound impact in shifting the way that you perceive the situation. Again, the foundation must always be, it's okay, Stephen, if you don't change your mind. Because people hate feeling like they have to change their minds, right? So if I make it okay for you not to change your mind, chances are that you're more willing to give it a go. Okay? And the third, and I think this is the biggest one, is forgiveness. And what do I mean by forgiveness? In this 2 months that we've agreed to, there may be decisions that are made by people which many will not like. There has to be, and I don't use the word experiment, if you notice, I use the word forgiveness. We need to be able to say, hey, we tried, it didn't work, it's fine. So when you hold that process with a bit of lightness, people feel more invited to try things. Which is why I don't really want to use the word trial experiment, because in the corporate world, those words have, I feel, gathered some kind of charge, and people kind of understand what they want to understand of it. We don't want to focus on the process at this stage. We want to focus on the results. But hey, if the result doesn't work, it's fine. Let's move on. Try something else. Okay? Well, if the word forgiveness doesn't work for some of the listeners, maybe use the word lightness. Hold that journey with some lightness. Don't suffocate it to death before it has a chance to grow.
Mm. I love the what you just mentioned, hold the journey with lightness. I think the word forgiveness could be a big topic for many,
So,
and it might not be a natural strength for some, right, to forgive.
yeah, some of these words are, I feel, unnecessarily charged. Like if we forgive more, not a lot of people think like they have to forgive their co-workers, right?
Mm.
And this sometimes is what I refer to the thousand indignities that every one of us had to bear in silence. But if these thousand indignities are forgiven 1,000 times, how much more freedom will we feel in our spirits?
Mm. You know, when you speak about these topics, I could feel a lot of your compassion and gratitude within you. And it seems that you've came a long way, in achieving this. I'm also curious. It's just like there's this inclination to be compassionate after listening to you. So for those who are listening, I just want to would like to ask a question. The final question would be, what could you offer in terms of advice for those people who wants to improve their strength of forgiveness, to be more compassionate?
Whatever advice I'm about to offer, if you can call it that, I would like to make sure that the listeners understand that it's important to try out different frameworks, different mindsets, listen to different people, because you are unique. Every one of you listener is unique. And you have to find something that suits you. There's no reason to justify why it suits you. It's about finding your home. So I encourage you to try to find your home and make no excuse for it. What I've found to be my way home to the heart of compassion, and by the way, it is not possible to be in a permanent state of compassion. Number one, self awareness is very, very critical to being able to be compassionate. And to make that very pragmatic, what I mean by self awareness, which is not the same as self consciousness, yeah? Self awareness as a package must include your ability to be kind, to be gentle, to be tender, to be forgiving, and to be accepting of yourself. What that means is whatever emotions you're feeling, whatever thoughts are going through your head, you cultivate the ability to not judge yourself for it. In some colloquial description, this is what people may term as mindfulness. Mindfulness is really nothing more than the ability to be self aware in the moment and not to be attached to what is going through your mind and through your heart. So that's the first critical step. in becoming more compassionate more often during the day. The second step, and this is perhaps not that common, is befriending your breath. Even in the work of executive presentation coaching or high stakes communication, it really does come down to the simple power of breath. If you do not know how to be in control of your breath, a lot of the skills that you may cultivate in the moment where you need it the most, you're not going to be able to access it unless you're able to control your breath. There are simple practices in yoga or the pranayama practices, I think, is a very simple and accessible way to start. And that is the physical aspect of compassion. The third aspect is language. Language for me includes the language of silence. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is to be silent and to hold the space. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is to offer one or maybe very few words, but those are honest, authentic expressions. That for me are the three pillars of compassion as practiced by an individual human being.
Thank you for that, because I think that this is a very powerful conversation. I've learned a lot from you. And for those who are listening, I believe that you will have share the same experience for learning from Roslina. And for me, what I've learned today, I think there's so many when I look at my notes in front of me. But just to finalize and summarize, it's a lot about willingness and how do we get ourselves involved in the state of mind. And we need to ask ourselves these questions about whether do we want to be involved in the process. And also being able to externalize and articulate these thoughts into words and to have these conversations which are really meaningful and important. And it could be not just for the workplaces, but it could be for relationships too, in friendships too. And the big one would be forgiveness. Forgiveness needs to take place for healing to take place. It's a form of self-care and self-expression. And it's also the most authentic way for us to connect with ourselves, to reconnect with ourselves. And so that is really, really my biggest takeaway. And I would like to thank you for taking so much time to explain and to share your wise nuggets of wisdom, which I think I would love to have you back another time, to share more of this. And I believe that there's so much more we could get out of these conversations. And for those of you who are listening in, if you have any thoughts, questions for Roslina, please let us know by dropping us a message on Getting Naked with Happiness. It could be on the Facebook page or LinkedIn or Instagram, #Getting Naked with Happiness. So thank you, Roslina, for taking time to be part of this. And thank you for being so authentic and sharing your words. And I hope that, we could have more of this down the road.
Thank you for your deep listening, Stephen, which makes it that much easier to share from the heart. It has been precious.
Thank you again, Roslina. My pleasure. So, and I wish you a very good day ahead. And for those listening, I wish you a very good week ahead too. Thank you.